Welcome back to This Guy Sports Talk. I'm your host, your favorite host, Baldesh Singh, and tonight we had the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-21 with a time expiring field goal to finish the game out. And originally going into this game, obviously Thursday night games aren't usually like great games or games with great teams, except for the first week, obviously, just to kick the NFL year off. But you got the Cincinnati Bengals versus Jaguars. The week prior to that, it was the Panthers and the Texans. And the week prior to that was the football team, Washington football team versus the Giants. So except that was actually a pretty good game. But going into this game, it's the 2-1 Bengals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer, rookie head coach Trevor Lawrence, they're 0-3 on the year. But like I said, going into the game, it was going to be a very boring game, I personally thought. And the Bengals, they're 2-1, but they're in the same division as the Cleveland Browns. They're in the same division as the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers, even though they ended up losing to the Bengals, the Steelers are still pretty decent. So, like I said, going into this game, the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs. The Jaguars aren't going to make the playoffs. And going into this game, I was hoping the Bengals weren't going to blow them out. I was hoping that the Bengals weren't going to mollywop the Jaguars. But the game actually ended up going into a direction that I didn't think was going to go. And the reason I say that is because I did not think the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be up 14-0 on the Bengals. I just originally, when the game flow was heading in the direction where the biggest thing that really stuck out to me was Zach Taylor's creativeness. I'm a big fan of his creativeness. I know the coaching staff that he came from, but the issue with Zach Taylor is he just happens to have like a one-dimensional offense. He wasn't really utilizing Joe Mixon early in the game, especially in the first half, and that was one of the reasons they were down 14-0, because all they kept doing was throw, which made the Bengals a one-dimensional offense. And if you're a one-dimensional offense, you're going to get figured out, and the game is actually a lot easier for your opponent because they know what you're going to do, which is just run, play action, roll out, bootleg, and they don't have to worry about stuffing the run because they already got guys in coverage waiting for you. So I believe Zach Taylor's play calling abilities, now they're not as bad as obviously Matt Nagy's or anything like that, but having a one-dimensional pass offense really was the reason they were down 14-0. Now, if they were down 14-0 to another team, I don't think they would have came back and won. But luckily, they were playing the Jaguars, and, they sneaked out with a time-expiring field goal. But, the Bengals are 3-1. They didn't have T. Higgins in this game. Jamar Chase definitely stepped up, which is funny because earlier in the offseason, they were talking about how this guy is struggling with drops. The biggest thing that really pissed me off about Jamar Chase was you're the 5th overall pick, you're a first-round rookie, and you come out and you complain. He didn't complain, but he talked about how he tried to justify why he was dropping balls in preseason and training camp and the off season. He said the ball was a lot bigger and the I guess the white stripes are a little bit different from the college football. But it's just, I don't know. It really annoyed me how Jamar Chase was trying to justify why he was dropping balls, but it literally looked like Jamar Chase hustled us because he's done nothing but remarkable things throughout the first 4 games. I mean, the guy has 4 touchdowns in his first 4 games. It just, I don't know. I guess he just figured it out before the first game started because he was not doing well before that. But Joe Burrow looked great. It doesn't, I know he doesn't have the same explosiveness that he had with his legs, where he was able to scramble around a little bit, and you can kind of tell how he was playing in the pocket. But the Bengals offensive line gave him enough time. He still had great weapons. Your tight end CJ ended up having 5 catches, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You still had Tyler Boyd available. You still had Jamar Chase, even without T. Higgins available. So The Bengals had a pretty good game, except for the first half. Like I said, wasn't too big of a fan of what they did, and I believe a lot of that had to do with Zach Taylor's play call. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I was actually pretty impressed. I did not think, like I said, I was going into the game thinking that the Bengals were just going to mollywop the Jaguars, and it was probably going to be like a 31 to maybe 31 to 17, 31-13 maybe. Probably get a field goal, a couple field goals and a touchdown. But the reason I say that is because I actually ended up picking the Bengals defense in fantasy football in a league, because I assumed that Trevor Lawrence, he has 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 2 lost fumbles. I was like, that's going to be a great defense to play against the Jaguars, just because I know Trevor Lawrence. You got a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. The weapons aren't all that great. And no, the Bengals actually did not do too well on defense against the Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence, they ended up trading C.J. Henderson, their 9th overall pick from a year ago, for Dan Arnold, and it finally feels like, no offense to James O'Shaughnessy, I apologize, but it finally looks like that Trevor Lawrence finally has like a safety blanket in a tight end, and Dan Arnold. Now, originally he was with the Arizona Cardinals, and then he ended up, going to the Carolina Panthers, and then the same year he was signed by them, he ends up getting traded. A lot of that probably due with J.C. Horn, their first-round corner for the Panthers, ended up breaking his foot. So they just flipped Dan Arnold, threw another draft pick at him, and ended up getting C.J. Henderson. But I think Dan Arnold's going to do pretty well with the Jacksonville Jaguars now. DJ Shark, their number 1 receiver, actually ended up breaking his ankle. At least that's what NFL Network reported. But they didn't really talk about it too much. Not sure why. I don't know if NFL Network is putting out that DJ Shark broke his ankle, I'm not exactly sure why Joe Buck and Troy Aikman didn't mention it, but maybe they wanted to get like a second look, a second MRI the next day, maybe get a second opinion. But DJ Shark ended up breaking his ankle like on the second, third drive. But one of the things that really concerned me about the Jacksonville Jaguars was their poor clock management. They actually ended up burning 3 timeouts to avoid delay of games. I feel like these are the kind of things you work through mini camp, training camp, preseason. But in a very competitive game, you ended up burning 3 timeouts throughout the entire game just to avoid delay of game penalties. And that's just not going to work against, competitive teams in the NFL. But like I said, I was really surprised that they were actually up 14-0 at halftime. Trevor Lawrence, man, that guy looks like the real deal. I think this is the year for Trevor Lawrence. He's going to have the year that Peyton Manning had his rookie year, where he's just going to throw a bunch of interceptions. His team is not very competitive. I mean, even Troy Aikman talked about, or Michael Irvin talked about how, hey, I know what it's like to be on a 1-15 team, and maybe they can win more than one game, but it just kind of looks like it's going to be like a lost year. This is more of like a developmental year for Trevor Lawrence, where he's been able to get a little bit more experience. I don't know if Urban Meyer is the right head coach, but they were up 14-0 at halftime, and I really thought, it could have been 21-0, but they ended up getting stuffed right at the end of the half. But I really thought that the Jaguars, there was a chance. I was actually really rooting for them, but I really thought they could have pulled out on this one. But it just kind of seemed like Urban Meyer didn't really, or even Schottenheimer didn't really evolve or develop a game plan for the second half. It just kind of seemed like whatever they did in the first half, they just kind of brought it to the second half. And as you can tell, the Bengals definitely switched up their game plan going into the first half, going into the second half. They actually started running the ball a lot more. Joe Mixon ended up finishing the night with 16 carries. Ended up getting hurt, but he ended up finishing the night with 16 carries. And then a couple other backs ended up having 3 carries apiece. So you went from, they were down 14-0, and they probably noticed, hey, we're not running the ball and we're down 14-0. We need more of a balanced offense, because if we don't have a balanced offense, all they're going to do is just drop their guys in coverage, and it's just going to be 3 and out. Or we might pick up a first down here and there, but we're going to end up punting and not putting any points on the board. So, Zach Taylor, props to him. He came out in the second half, made some adjustments, and they started running the ball, which made them a balanced offense and kept the Jaguars on their toes, because now they're not just expecting the pass. They're like, oh crap, Joe Mixon actually might run the ball now, since Zach Taylor's actually allowing him to. So, but Urban Meyer going into the second half, I just felt like he made no adjustments. The play calling stayed the same. Hand the ball to James Robinson. Run pass option with Trevor Lawrence. That worked in the second half, but you got to do something different in the second half. And I think he's so used to in college football running the same plays, because the talent level is so huge between their competition, that they're actually able to get away with it. But Urban, this is just not going to work in the NFL. So overall, I actually really enjoyed the game. I thought I was going into a game that the game was going to absolutely suck, but a 24-21 time expiring field goal to finish the game off. I think with the Bengals being 3-1, definitely a great start for Zach Taylor. Hopefully this boosts his confidence a little bit. And then the Jaguars, I don't know. This is just going to be a Peyton Manning kind of a year, or Troy Aikman kind of a year, where they win a few games, 2 or 3 games, maybe even just a game, and Trevor Lawrence is kind of going through the reps and kind of setting himself up for the following year. But overall, great game. If you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode of This Guy's Sports Talk.